Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Think Tank Thursday. I'm Candy Kelly, and I'm thrilled to be here with you this week. Thank you for coming. Before we jump in, it's a new year. I need to give love to my 2024 sponsors. We are so appreciative of Roller Software, Delta Strike, Expert Hosiery, and Embed for sponsoring Think Tank this year, and for Semnox. And our guest for this week comes from our sponsor, Semnox, and so we're really excited about that. But thank you for all of their support. They are what allow us to bring you a new episode each and every week. Now, on Thursday, Trainertainment likes to take a little bit of time away from the doing and spend some time thinking, diving more into how we can improve our operations, diving more into getting to know other operators, diving more into the options that are out there. And this week, we're going to be diving more into the technology solutions that you can utilize for your business. And we're going to do that with Phil Showler from Semnox Solutions. So why don't we jump right in and see what there is to learn? Welcome, and thanks for joining me. Do you mind taking a few minutes for those who might not know who you are to introduce yourself and let everyone know a little bit more about you, a little bit more about Semnox and the role that you play there?
Yeah, so I've been around this industry for going on 26 years, which is crazy because I'm only 29. But
Oh,
anyway,
yeah.
so
How to start
yeah,
young.
I did, and love this industry. Get such an opportunity to speak into people and partner with them, and so I love what I do. I've been around this for so long, and with Semnox, I'm in a sales partnership position, and I was just recently speaking to our president of operations about that, and we really don't put enough emphasis on partner, and so. For the audience, I want them to know we really are more focused on partnering with you than trying to sell you something, right?
Mm.
We certainly want to identify your need and see if we can fill it, but we really more than that, really want to partner with you to make sure that what you get from us is something that you have so much value in for years and years and years to come, for the life of your venue.
Um, I love that because, we believe that all good sales starts with relationships and connections first. That's how Trainertainment rolls. And so I totally love that. One thing that sets Semnox apart is that you're a provider of full venue technology solutions through the
Yeah.
various modules that Semnox have. So, how important do you feel it is for a business to prioritize and try to fully integrate all the components of the systems into their operations?
It's extremely important. So, Candy, I liken it to this. A young couple goes out, they find this beautiful house, 3 bedroom, 2.5 baths, a little pool out there, a little cookout area on their patio. They move in and they use a quarter of it. Like they go from the bedroom to the kitchen, the bathroom, and then they go to work, right? And that's what happens. That's why I wanted this to be the topic today. That's what happens. We see so many times operators will spend a lot of time at the front end looking for technology partners and systems. They get them installed, and they don't utilize the full toolbox that they get with these technology solutions. And so it's extremely important that they hear this, that 6 months after you get this installed, a year after you get this installed, go back and look under the hood again. Look in the trunk and look at the tools that you originally wanted and your provider helped identify. Get them into your venue, but oftentimes, Candy, we're just seeing too many operators not utilize the whole system. They get comfortable with what's easy and let's get going, let's get the doors open, those kinds of things. So there's so much more, and we just want to encourage operators to use the so much more.
One question that comes to mind is what resources does Semnox provide to ensure that their users stay educated on the options that are available throughout the different modules that they provide?
So that's where people like myself come in, sales
Okay.
partners. So that's the first call a client can make. Come to us, we will answer questions, but we'll go beyond that. We'll ask you, hey, by the way, are you fully implementing the waiver system that you ordered? And because we don't see anything happening online over here, so what's going on? Tell me a little bit about that. If there are things that come to me that I just simply can't answer, then I'll bring in our system implementation team, which is not our support team, but our system implementation team, which we take information that we get from a customer advisory board. I can't speak for other technology companies, but we
Mhm.
we get a customer advisory board together that are users of our system, and they bring us just amazing feedback that we can pass on to newer clients and users of our system. So there's just always opportunity for that. Um, they are welcome to come out to our Dallas office anytime and spend some time in our customer experience center. We have an actual customer experience center where they can go through and touch and feel and kind of go through maybe even some retraining, because you know this. You
Mhm.
get on site, there's a million things happening for especially a new venue, and they can't possibly digest everything that's being thrown at them, especially for a system
Oh,
like
no.
ours.
They
There's
get
no
what they need
way.
to know to open, and then once they're open for a little bit, they want to dive deeper into the data points behind, let's say, ticket averages or something about birthdays. And then they're like, I know they told me how to do this, but I just can't recall that information because it's so much in the beginning.
And we encourage that. We encourage, hey, get us back out 3 4 months after you're open. Let's take a day and make sure that we refresh you and go further than just a refresh. Let's go back to
Mhm.
some of those deeper things, the more granular pieces of the system that you wanted to know about and why you bought us. And let's make sure you're using them and using them correctly.
Um, awesome. I did not know about the Dallas office, so that I learned about. Didn't know you guys
Yes,
provided that.
yes, yes.
All right, we know that two main reasons that people, especially operators, look for to increase or to improve their technology that they have is ease of operations. Obviously, there's efficiency, but beyond that, it's because they're a lot of times pulling data from multiple sources, and then they're having to compile that data together. And so I know that the data part of what you can get is an important part of like technology implementation and like how do I choose which one that I want. Can you explain the essential data points that you see that venue owners and operators should be collecting, and maybe some that they don't that you see a lot of times that people overlook, and how can they use that information to influence some of their strategic decisions?
Yeah. So again, kind of going back to the first question and how I answered that, operators end up settling into, hey, I can pull my reports from my phone. And what reports are they looking at 90% of the time? Revenue. They
Mhm.
want to see, they just want to see revenue, right? But there's so much more. So they need to look at things like if you have games, you need to look at those very specific reports, because oftentimes we find that there are many games that are underperforming, and they can take those reports to their game distributors or operators and review them and find that games take up a large footprint, and so if they're underperforming, they got to go. And so that's one for sure. But looking at things like traffic flow, time of day, hourly reports that show traffic flow, usage, guest habits, spending habits, so that the operator can staff correctly, so that the operator can make sure that their, let's say, cafe and redemption centers are properly inventoried and stocked. So things like that have to be looked at, and we provide that. And so looking at also like traffic bottlenecks. So a typical example, again, I have to kind of go back to my my old roots of redemption and redemption centers, redemption counters, redemption stores, whatever you want to set it up as. those are areas of bottlenecks on a high traffic day. People are trying to check out, get on the bus, get on out, especially if it's a group. If you're not paying attention to the data that we're giving you, that will continue to be a friction filled guest journey experience.
And it's
And you
such
don't
a
want that.
and it's such a spot you don't want it to be friction filled, because for a lot of locations, it's the last spot your guest goes to
That's
before
right.
walking out the door. And so you don't want them walking out the door with that, that tension that comes from having all that friction. I have done bad redemption counters before, and that so you leave with like this tension. You're like, God, I'm so glad we just got through that. You
Yeah,
don't want that.
absolutely. No, you don't. And these can also tell you, the data can tell you, even at your admission point, do we have enough admission points? Do we have enough, if you're using like self-serve kiosks, do
Hmm.
we have enough of those? And do we have them in the right spots? And so, again, this information can be utilized, and I can think of a handful or less of very good operators that use our system, that use these data reports to the max, and as a result of it, they have eliminated the use of other systems because they realize, oh my gosh, I have this Semnox thing, so why don't I use all of it? Well, I can now because I realized the data that they're giving me tells me what I need to know to put the efficiencies in and to just make my guest experience better and to increase my revenue sometimes. And so those are the kinds of things that we just see sometimes operators get kind of stuck into that. Hey, let me look at my phone real quick and see how we're doing, you know, on my hourly revenue reports or daily revenue reports. And they don't go much further than that because who knows, right? A variety of
Hmm.
things are happening. Another fire pops up that they got to put out, and those kinds of things happen. So we just encourage operators, keep using the system. You're missing things sometimes. You're missing some of the efficiencies that you could put in place that help you. And what I mean by that is, again, particularly cafe and redemption. Oftentimes we see places that have over ordered inventory, or they don't know their guest, they don't know their demographic because they're not paying attention to the reports. So therefore, they have the wrong inventory at times, and so yeah, I could go on and on. it's
As
yeah, it's
As you know,
super
part of
important.
Entertainment, part of the services that we provide is business coaching through our Business Pro system, where we help people figure that out. And one of that is metrics that we call the measurables that matter, like what actually
Yeah.
matters. Everyone likes to look at revenue, but then when you dig deeper with people and say, okay, so what does it tell you? And they're like,
Mm.
well, it tells us how much money we're making. I'm like, does it? Like, do you know your
Mm.
costs too? Like, do you know your labor? Do you know what your
Yeah.
flow is? And then, like, when you dive deeper in that, it's really just like a piece of the puzzle. But so many people
Right.
put so much weight in that one number without looking at what the rest of that puzzle comes together as.
You got it. Absolutely.
Um, so we know what data, and we know that people want data. They want to be able to get it easy. And so, but there are so many systems out there, researching what works and what is required. And even in just a system, such as Semnox, there are multiple modules within a system too that you need
Mm.
to decide, is this for me? Is this the one I need? So how can venue owners really perform effective research to find that technological solution that does meet their specific need, whether it's for the size of their venue, for the different things that they sell? Like, how do you best suggest that people research that?
Well, I think it's kind of two pronged. One, and probably the most important, is utilize the fact that our industry is very tight knit and it's relatively small. And so pick up the phone, call an operator that is similar, to what your scope of work's going to be or development work's going to be, and talk to those folks and ask them what's working, what's not working with what you have. What would you do differently? Who would you, use differently
Mhm.
if you had the choice again? And what I've found in our industry, and I think you know this very well, Candy, is We really are family. That's not just a coined thing or whatever. It's true. We're family. We do believe in the rising tide raises all ships, and
Hmm.
we all want to keep each other healthy. So that's first and foremost. Kind of the other sublayer of that same thing. Reach out to one of the I think the best resources in our industry are like associations. If you're part of a IAPA or the VPAA, or reach out to those associations, and they'll put you in touch with the right people to do that kind of questioning and research. And then I would say go to those places and let them or ask them if they'll let you shadow their staff, shadow their management. Again, I know of a couple of really good operators, particularly here in Florida where I live. They invite that. They truly do. And one of them, if I gave out the name, you would know very well. But he welcomes that. He's like, "Yep, come on in, shadow our people, ask us anything you want. I'll be completely upfront with you. I'll give you EBITDA. I'll give you revenue. I'll give you costs, what food costs are, everything." And he gets that from the system. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, um, when you're finally in front of a potential vendor, um, grill them. You know, and what you need to feel good about is, are they really interested in you? Are they really interested in a partnership with you, or do you get the sense they just want to sell you something? And our company right now, we are really laser focused on making sure we set right expectations with a potential future client. Um, we want to grill them about the scope of work so that when we present a solution, that it fits. It's the right fit. Because I think you kind of asked this before, some of the pitfalls of an implementation of these kinds of systems are that we didn't properly identify the scope of work. And
Hmm.
so we were sticking a square peg in a round hole. For instance, we may have loaded them up with all kinds of online stuff, e-commerce, e-ticketing, and all this stuff, and they're like, I don't need that. I didn't want that. So that's just one
Yeah.
example. So just make sure that when you get in front of that potential partner, technology partner, grill them, man, and just ask them all the questions you know to ask, and then wait for their response and see if you sense that they're trying to partner with you or they just trying to sell you something.
Now being on the side of being a vendor of the industry, because before, I was an operator for such a long time. I bet I was annoying to people because I am such a slow purchaser because I am one that will grill you. But I looked out for franchises. And so I wasn't just buying for me, I was buying for the multiples. And so I
Yeah.
would ask all of the questions and I would make up scenarios to be like, okay, so what would we do if XYZ happened? I was that person that would totally grill the vendors to see if they had either solutions or were thinking about a solution for it in the near future. Because I wanted always a vendor that was forward facing and looking towards the
Mhm.
future of our industry.
What we find sometimes is when a potential investor or someone who's developing this kind of a venue, they're planning to spend anywhere from what 3-4 million onwards to 20 million.
Hmm.
So the technology investment part of that is tiny. It's just a fraction. It could be as little as 1% of that total number. And oftentimes, it seems the correlation in that investor's brain is,
Wow.
okay, I'm spending this over here for this kitchen. I need to focus a lot of my time over there. I'm going to spend over here on this attraction a huge chunk of money. So I'm going to spend some time over here. When it comes to technology, the very thing that can crush a busy Saturday, they haven't spent enough time doing the research and understanding the tool set that's before them, and the
Mhm.
very thing that can make or break a guest's day or an operator's day, they just did not pay enough attention to on the front end.
Yeah. You kind of jumped into my next question because I was going to ask, where common problems that you see that owners or operators have when they're implementing or employing, technology solutions like yours? Um, and how many, can some of those difficulties be addressed or overcome? And so I think that answer is a great answer to it too, is just like pay attention, like spend the time that you would with it, because it is, even if it may be such a small percentage of the overall investment, we all know once you open, it is the thing that runs your world. And if it
It
does
is.
not work the way it's supposed to, oh, that domino effect is big.
It makes for a bad day, doesn't
Yes.
it? So I always go back to this story. In my technology career in this industry, probably about 15 years ago, um, this very wise man opened up a bowling FEC in Puerto Rico, and it was beautifully designed. And the thing that he did, though, for 30 days prior to opening, he did, once all the systems were in place, all of the hardware, the big investment that he made is all in place with no return, for several
Yeah.
days, like 30 days, which is very, very difficult to navigate. But he did it, and it was the most successful opening I think I've ever experienced. And so for 30 days, he had friends and family. For 30 days, somewhere in there, he started to do the soft openings as he drew closer to his hard open date. Um, in that 30-day span, he brought out officials from the city, fire, police, all of that, which many operators in the United States do, but they do it maybe a few days prior to their
And they
opening.
do it in such a rush way a lot of
They
times.
do. They do. And so as good as our technology can be, if the staff doesn't know how to use it and they're not confident, again, it makes for a very bad first impression on the community that's coming
Mhm.
into this cool new place. Coupled with that, on the vendor side of things, we've got to do a better job of training. We truly need to focus on how we can do that better, how we can almost grab their face and like, pay attention to me, you know, listen to me. I'm about to tell you things that are going to make or break your operation when you first open. Or even if it's an existing facility that's now finally putting in some new technology. And so we that's on us. We got to do a better job of that. We got to better identify who's going to champion our product within that organization, and we can easily do that. We just need to slow down and do it right. We need to not be afraid to, I won't say tell the customer or mandate the customer, but highly and strongly suggest to that client, um, you need us back in about 90 days to do
Mhm.
another training. And why is that? Well, as you know, being in the side of the industry you're in that first 90 to 120 days, they're going to turn over a lot of people, unfortunately. It's just the nature of the beast. Some of these kids that they're hiring, just can't cut it. And so a lot of training has gone into people that are now gone.
Mhm.
And so we do that. We just don't do it strongly enough. But if those kinds of things are implemented, that long pre-opening process, great training, and then coming back and retraining. If those things are done and executed well, man, it's easy as pie.
One of the things I would suggest an owner do, or maybe you can talk to some of the owners that use Semnox, is back in my operational days, I used to do what I called scenario training. So I had like all of these build a party package that includes this and this
Mm,
and this. So I just make sure that they knew how to put that package together on the back end and build it. Or like we have a situation where like almost like word problems for math back in the day of
yeah,
school. It would be scenario, and then I would make them try to like make do the thing that I had laid out in the situation.
yeah,
So
absolutely. Yep,
um,
that's one of the biggest things for sure.
so moving to a different end of the technology conversation. So you're like in the heart of it. Where do you see technology evolving in the context of our family entertainment venues? And like what new developments or trends do you see arising that are exciting to you?
So our hardware side of technology is getting evolving into some really cool things. As a for instance, like the readers that go at
Oh,
attractions and
yes.
games. Soon we'll iron out all the wrinkles of a guest being able to whip out their credit card and just pay right there at the game or attraction and that kind of thing. Still a little ways to go there, but it's
Hmm.
happening because the hardware and even some of the software things are starting to align. So starting to see that just more efficiency in portability, meaning when you have a 35,000 square foot facility, bowling and attractions, games and food, and you're making a guest go somewhere to do something or buy something, um,
Okay.
now we can cut that friction out and let the staff member come to them with portability. So yeah, so just having that portable point of sale um, is a very cool thing and a cool trend that's happening. Let's see what else. Um, some on the software side, just more cloud-based stuff that makes things more efficient for the operator to access. They don't have to rely on going to the location and those cloud tools are getting better. When they first came out, they were a little bit clunky, and sometimes they wouldn't work or internet issues,
Yeah.
which is still a thing. Internet issues will always be a thing, and so, but they're getting better. They're definitely getting better, um, and then on the other side of like in the industry, we're starting to see facilities not be so arcade or game heavy. And so what that means is companies like ours, we need to respond to that and be sure that we're not just seen as, oh, they're the card system company. No,
Mm.
we want to be much more than that. And we are, because of some of the developments that we have seen and the trends of indoor playgrounds and very high end, very cool indoor playgrounds that sometimes don't involve a heavy load of like arcade presence. And then the last thing I'll say on this that's really cool that's coming that we've seen happening over in Europe is um, full cafe vending. So you
I have
can
heard
walk
of this
up.
a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, it's very cool, very keen on efficiency and less guest friction. We are such a self-service driven society today. So imagine now walking into some of the venues that we're both very familiar with, and instead of a cafe, you do see a nice seating area, but you walk up to this, very large vending area, and you can get anything from an espresso to, I mean, steak, a bottle of wine, a nice chilled glass of wine. I mean, anything you want. And so those are the cool things that we're starting to see, and the software that has to go with that to drive that, and again go back to give the operators all the information they need from that. So that's cool, and even things like going to the airport now, you can sit down at a wine bar or a restaurant, and you have your point of sale right there at your table. You just thumb through it, pick what you want, and it comes right out in just a few minutes. So you're just very self-service driven, and
Mhm.
sometimes for many it's just easier that way. So
Um,
yeah, a lot of cool things happening.
I have to admit I'm a self-service type of girl. Like I prefer all the things that I can do on my own. But a lot of times people say, "Oh, it's replacing people." And I actually think the opposite of that. I'm going to use like the self-service checkout, for instance, in a lot of grocery stores. That's self-service. I prefer to do it myself. But one of the reasons I prefer to do it myself is I feel like I actually get better service there because that person who's overseeing that area is not overwhelmed and overworked. And so when I do have an issue, like I picked up produce that doesn't have their four numbers on it and I can't find it, I always feel like they're right there and say, "Oh, let me help you with that number." And so it just
Oh, that's
makes the
good.
experience better because the person
Yeah,
is able to do more about the experience and really look for the needs of the people who are in the area versus being the one who's manually ringing out every individual thing.
that's a great point. I'm going to use that. That's so true, though. Yeah, now that
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it, that's so true. Yeah, I like that.
So, um, all right. Well, as our time kind of wraps up here, what's the main takeaway that you would like owner operators to think about or to realize about the potential impact that can be had from incorporating the right, not just any technology solution, but the right technological solution for them?
Well, you kind of said it in your own question. What do you want them to think about? I want them to think about it. I really want I want that awareness for potential investors and operators to think it through a little bit more, spend a little more time in research on technology, and identify before you do that, what are you looking for? What do you want out of a system? And oftentimes they don't really know yet,
Mhm.
but they can get that through the research that we talked about earlier
And
in
there's
this
nothing wrong with
interview.
creating a dream list, right? Like there may not
Not
be a
at all.
technological I know solution that hits everything on your list, but there's nothing wrong with creating the dream list so you have somewhere to
Not at
start
all.
with.
No, it's a great point. That's a great point. So, yeah, I just want awareness. I want them to think about this better and more. And the takeaway is then, use the system, use it all. You bought it, you invested in it, use it all. And I guarantee you, if they will do that, they'll be more efficient. And what does that mean? Not only will they make more revenue, they'll be more profitable.
Mhm.
They'll actually put more to the bottom line. Absolutely. Because so many times these systems are in place, and restaurants is a great example of it. Their food costs are just skyrocketing, and they don't even know it. They're not fully aware of how it's truly impacting that bottom line and EBITDA.
Mhm.
And so, utilizing these systems can truly help. It's not the answer to everything. It's not a panacea, but if you don't use it at the level it can be used, I guarantee you, you will not get your ROI on these systems. So
Yeah.
that's what I just want to call the attention to its operators on.
Awesome.
Yep.
Um, well, Phil, we like to end Think Tank with a signature question. We ask our guests. There's two versions of it. So sometimes we ask about you and you think about ask about others. But it's a new year. So I wanted to ask, what are you currently doing in 2024 to grow yourself?
um, Quit talking about what I'm going to do and actually doing it, and that's number one. And knocking like the dust off of my Dan Pink books, my Beth Stanley favorites, and just resetting my love for this industry and what I do in it. But yeah, just kind of going back to some fundamentals of people buying from people, right?
Yeah.
And I don't say that just because I'm on your forum here. It's true. And so I guess in short, it's a reset, but really doing it. Yeah.
Love it. Well, Phil, thank you for your time again today. If people are interested, where can they find you to learn more about you, to learn more about Semnox? Where would you send them?
They can go to LinkedIn. They'll find me on LinkedIn. Shoot me an email at phil.showler@semnox.com. And you'll find me on our website in the about and who we are. And there's lots of articles in there. Some involve me, some don't. But you'll get to know Semnox and me if you go to our website, which is just simply semnox.com. And I will say this: for some reason, many people in the industry think that there is an I in Semnox, and they'll
Huh.
say Seminox. It's Semnox. So I
We'll
just
make sure
want to
to
throw
put
that
that
in
on the
there.
screen. Yes,
Yeah.
as this is airing. That way no one puts in that sneaky eye. I did not know that. That's funny.
Yes, I've heard that in the last 9 months or so. But yeah, I'm thrilled to be back in the industry and partnering with folks. Can't wait to see what 24 brings.
All right. Well, thank you. And I'm sure we will chat again soon.
You got it.
Wasn't that great? I learned so much from that interview, and I hope that you had a few key takeaways too. And I hope that you take to heart what Phil said to really think about what you would like for your technology solutions to bring to you, and really then dive in and see how you can best utilize it to meet those expectations. So, um, let us know how you enjoyed this episode. If you want to connect with Phil, make sure you do that. I'm sure there's a wealth of knowledge that we weren't able to tap into in this short episode. Thank you for taking time to join us this week. And again, thank you to my 2024 sponsors. And then if you have a think tank idea, want to be a guest, or want to sponsor, please contact me, candy@trainertainment.net. And then as always, be sure to check out where you can connect with us in real life. All of our upcoming events and appearances can be found on trainertainment.net under our events menu. Thank you, and I'll catch you on the next episode.
Bookings is a cloud-based e-commerce solution that allows you to accept online reservations from parties and groups 24/7. The Bookings checkout will link directly from your website. Your guests will be able to view all of your available party options, as well as the dates and times available for the party or event. Bookings is also optimized for any tablet or mobile device as well. You'll never miss an opportunity to accommodate all your guests' needs by offering add-ons and extras. In the dashboard, you have the option of viewing all parties by day or in week view. The intuitive menus will guide you through creating a party platform that fits your operational needs. From setting up multiple packages, upselling through add-ons, and managing event areas, we've got you covered.